Hello there. In this video, we're going to move on to the next Rustling exercise. And one of the things I noticed, so we're talking about variables, is that there's actually a README in the exercise's path for the variables. So let's just read that real quick. In Rust, variables are immutable by default. When a variable is immutable, once a value is bound to a name, you can't change that value. You can make them mutable by adding mute in front of the variable name. Now, are we going to need this for this particular coding exercise? We are not, but that is probably something to note when working with the Rustling exercises, is that there are these tidbits of information tucked away. So let's take a look at the actual problem that they want us to solve for this exercise. In this exercise, we can see that there's an error. Let's read the error. It's E0425. I don't think I'll ever really remember codes like that, but maybe if I do this long enough, maybe I will. So cannot find value x in this scope. You see that x is apparently being assigned the value of 5, but actually you have to use the keyword let to create new bindings. So if you're like me, coming from primarily Python, x assigned to the value of 5 looks right, but it's actually missing something from the perspective of writing new variables in Rust. So we get also a follow-up error that also we can't find x in scope when it looks at the print line macro, that it's expecting x to be put into that formatted string. So let's take a look at the example code that they want us to fix. We've got our main function, all of this, and it just says add the missing keyword. It's being a little bit cryptic about what the missing keyword is, but frankly, the Rust compiler is telling us what it is. It's the let keyword. So if I say let x be assigned or bound to the value of 5, that will give that a second to recompile, and that solves the problem. Now, one of the things I'm curious about as we go along are what are the hints? Because there is the H key. We've solved the problem, so I don't feel bad looking at the hint now. The hint is the declaration in the main function is missing a keyword that is needed in Rust to create a new variable binding. Okay, that makes sense. It's still not really telling us what that keyword is. We kind of had to know that walking into all of this. Now, another thing we can do is take a look at the solutions. So we can look at variables and look at the variables RS1 solution. And you can see that their solution is essentially identical to ours of saying let x be bound to the value of 5, and then follow up with the x has value of the formatted value of x in the print line macro. So that one's, I'd say, pretty easy. There's not really a lot you could do wrong there, provided you know what the let keyword is. I think it's a relevant example for those of us coming from languages that don't have a let keyword to say this is a new binding for a variable. So with that, I think that's probably enough for this video. I will catch you in the next one. Have a good day.